August 11th, 2025, Bamako, Mali. Dawn breaks over a country that looks nothing like it did 5 years ago. Gold mines pump wealth directly into the national treasuries instead of foreign bank accounts. Citizens wake up to something their parents never saw, actual progress. But at 5 a.m. that same morning, over 40 soldiers, including 2 generals, were dragged from their beds and arrested for plotting to overthrow their own military government. Now, here is the twist that changes everything. They weren't trying to overthrow a failing regime. They were trying to overthrow a winning one. Welcome to Africa's most dangerous chess game, where success might be the biggest threat of all. Let me blow your mind with some numbers. In 4 years of military rule, Mali has built more infrastructure than the previous 2 decades of democracy combined. We are talking about 1,200 kilometers of new roads, 47 new health centers, and a 340% increase in national revenue from mining operations. Now compare that to Mali's democratic era. Stagnant development and foreign companies walking away with 90% of Mali's mining revenue, while Malians live on less than $2 a day. So here's what doesn't compute. If Colonel Assimi Goïta is producing results that democratic leaders could only dream of, why are his own high-ranking officers trying to remove him? Among those arrested, General Ambas Dembele, the former Mopti region governor, decorated officer, respected throughout the entire army. Now, this wasn't some junior rebel. We are witnessing a fracture at the highest level of power. But the real story? This attempt reveals the most dangerous dilemma facing modern Africa. Now forget everything you have been told about African governance. What if I told you that these military leaders in Mali aren't defying democracy? They are exposing its greatest weakness. Here is the brutal truth. Mali has experienced 5 successful coups since independence. But here's what nobody talks about. Each coup happened when civilian governments failed to deliver basic services while foreign powers extracted resources unchecked. The current military government has achieved something revolutionary. Now here are some tangible gains. New roads connecting rural communities for the first time in 60 years. 47 new health centers built in regions previously abandoned. School enrollment up by 34% with actual functioning buildings. Clean water access expanded to 2.3 million additional people. And that's not all, there is more. When it comes to sovereignty and independence, they have renegotiated mining contracts. Mali now keeps 65% of gold revenue instead of 15%. They are currently ending dependence on French currency systems. They have terminated UN peacekeeping missions that cost $1.2 billion but delivered zero security. Talking about security, attacks in central Mali are down by 40% since they made partnerships with Russia. Joint operations with Burkina Faso and Niger eliminated cross-border safe havens. And for the first time in decades, local communities are reporting military protection. So if everyone is working, why is there internal rebellion? Here's what intelligence sources reveal about this coup attempt. The generals weren't just opposing Mali's government, they were trying to stop the creation of something that could change Africa's geopolitical map forever: the Confederation of Sahel states. Now think of it like this: 3 countries pooling their armies, sharing their gold mines, and creating a single economic powerhouse that nobody, not France, not the UN, not even China or Russia can push around. But here's where history becomes a warning system. In the past, every single African federation that has tried to build up has collapsed when political power shifts. Every single one of them. The original Mali Federation in 1959 lasted only 2 months after independence because newly elected leaders had different visions. The East African Federation, dead on arrival when then Kenya's new president withdrew. Sahel Confederation collapsed when Senegal elected leaders who opposed Confederation. The pattern: democratic elections equals new leaders equals federation collapse equals back to foreign exploitation. Now here is where the story gets really wild. Intelligence reports suggest General Dembele and other arrested officers weren't plotting because they thought the government was failing. They were plotting because they thought holding elections was the right thing to do. Now let that sink in. Military officers trying to overthrow their own successful governments to restore democracy that historically failed to deliver results. Now listen to this, pay attention. Goïta's calculation is ice-cold logical. Upon elections before the Sahel Confederation is locked in, and one new president from Mali or Burkina Faso or Niger could withdraw their candidacy from the federation, just as Senegal did in 1960. The arrested officers apparently believed that legitimacy matters more than results. Now Goïta believes results create legitimacy. Both sides might be right, and that's what makes this so dangerous. If elections could destroy the most successful development program in Mali's history, are elections the solution or the problem? But there is an even deeper game being played here. The invisible hands moving the pieces. While Mali's generals debate democracy versus development, the real chess masters are making their moves. Russia's Africa Corps has quietly filled the security vacuum left by French withdrawal. Chinese mining companies are signing exclusive 30-year contracts. Western powers are watching their century-long grip on African resources slip away. Now here is the intelligence nobody's talking about. Some of those arrested officers were reportedly uncomfortable with trading French dependence for Russian partnership. They feared that Goïta was replacing one form of foreign influence with another. But here is the strategic reality check. Under French partnership, Mali kept 15% of its mining revenue. Under Russian partnership, Mali keeps 65%. Under Chinese infrastructure deals, Malians get roads and hospitals instead of just promises. And so the math goes like this: foreign partners that deliver tangible results versus foreign partnerships that deliver speeches about democracy. So what's really driving this internal military split? Now here's what makes this attempted coup so fascinating. The arrested generals weren't plotting because they disagreed with the results. They were plotting because they feared the methods. Think about the new dilemma. You are a military officer watching your country prosper for the first time in decades. Roads are being built, hospitals are functioning, revenue is staying home. But you know this success is built on delaying elections and concentrating power. General Dembele and his co-conspirators apparently believed that power without popular mandate eventually becomes unsustainable. They worried that postponing elections until 2027 will delegitimize all the progress being made. And here is President Assimi Goïta's argument. Elections can always be held later, But if the Sahel Confederation collapses due to political changes, this opportunity of African unity and resource control might never come again. The stakes. We are not just talking about Mali's future. We are talking about whether Africa can achieve resource sovereignty, unity without Western-style democratic validation. And that reveals the most dangerous truth of all. What if African states keep having coups because democracy as currently structured prevents the exact resource control and development that populations actually need? Look at the pattern across the Sahel. Every time democratic leaders try to renegotiate mining contracts or reduce foreign military presence, they faced coups backed by external powers. Every time military leaders actually delivered development and resource control, they faced internal pressure to hold elections and reverse the progress. Mali's generals have cracked the code. Build the confederation first, lock in resource sovereignty, create irreversible development momentum. Then transition to whatever political system can maintain those gains. The revolutionary insight. What if legitimacy comes from delivering results, not from election processes that historically haven't delivered results? But here's the trap. The more successful this strategy becomes, the more dangerous it gets. Success breeds internal rebellion and external intervention, and the constant threat that one election could unravel everything. You can look at Libya to understand what we are talking about. So can this gamble actually work? The attempted coup proves that both sides have valid points. The generals were right that concentrated power without electoral mandate creates instability. But Goïta is right that elections before a confederation is secured could destroy the most successful Pan-African project in decades. The ultimate question: can African states achieve sovereignty and development first, then democratize from a position of strength, or democracy has to come first, even if it historically prevents sovereignty and development? Those 40 arrested soldiers represent more than military dissent. They represent Africa's struggle to escape the cycle where democracy enables exploitation and authoritarianism enables development, but neither enables both. Your strategic takeaway? Mali's internal coup attempts reveals the most important question facing modern Africa. Should Africa prioritize sovereignty and development first, then democratize from strength? Or should they democratize first and hope development follows? Goïta's bet is simple. Look at the Sahel Confederation. Secure resource sovereignty, build invisible development momentum, then transition to political systems that can maintain these gains without foreign interference. The arrested general's bet was equally simple. Legitimacy matters more than progress made through concentration of power. Now, the historical evidence: every African federation has collapsed when political leadership changed through elections. But every African military government has eventually faced coups from within. Can African unity and resource sovereignty survive democratic transitions? Or do results matter more than processes? Drop your analysis in the comments, because this debate will determine Africa's next century. Now remember, in geopolitics, the most successful strategies often look like the most dangerous gambles. I'm Assimi Goïta. See you in my next investigation. Bye.